But ultimately here we are today in a moment where we need to really decide, right? We need to decide about.
You need to make a choice. You need to choose how you're going to handle this and how you're going to move forward.
So today we're going to dive in on branding. We thought branding would be an important topic for us. It would be an important topic for us to really be diving in for, because in a moment where we need to, because you are what your brand is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not talking about, a branding in terms of company, we're talking about ourselves, because how we're showing up today is what we're going to be representing ourselves of as we go forward, not only to our ones that are close, but to the people we work with. Maybe some people that, if we own businesses that are employees of ours, or if we are employees that are employers to ours. And what that really means is that
basically, no matter who you are a brand. If you are online, if you are engaging with people, no matter if it's just your family or your friends and you just have a small circle, you are still a brand. No matter what you do, you have an online presence. So how are you going to present yourself to the world? And it's key, especially now. I mean, what do you think is going to happen even after everything opens? We are so keyed in now into what we can all do online and how much time we could spend online, that there are those of us that are going to need to have a bigger and larger online presence. And I think if you jump in now and start figuring out who you want the world to see you as, who you believe you are, and make that all bigger and brighter and better, you're going to be one step ahead of anybody else, no matter what you do in life. You could be a restaurateur, you could be in real estate, you could be working retail. It doesn't matter. You have a presence online, and you need to make sure that your brand is top notch.
And so why is that important to me, or why is that important to others? Because ultimately what you're doing right now and how you're carrying yourself right now is going to be what people think you are. There's a lot of people online. There's a lot of people out there active. There's a lot of people out there watching how you are dealing with the now. And to think that when this starts to open up or things go back, that you can get out of your negative attitude, stop with your negative posts, stop with your unwanted ideas. Well, you've already been pigeoned or positioned into that really that area here where people think, well, Jane, I mean, she really took this hard. We were stuck inside for a couple of weeks and she just melted down. She wasn't able to get her work done. Family life fell over. She lost herself in terms of her fitness. And, really, if that's you today, take a hard look at yourself, because people are watching, people are paying attention. And although ultimately you have to do it for yourself, how you show up for you today is going to be what you're going to continue to do. There is no turning the switch back on that, okay, things are back to whatever the normal becomes or whatever the next step is here, I can turn this on. You need to be showing up right now, getting yourself out there, putting your best self forward, because things may fail around you, but you can't fail.
But it's not to say, if you are going through a hard time right now, give yourself grace. Let yourself have that moment. But the thing is, and everybody loves a comeback story.
It's only a moment.
Start your comeback now.
Yeah.
What can you do now to choose to have a more productive, more positive attitude in this moment right now? I get it. We are all in this crazy pandemic. We've never been in this situation before, not that any of us can remember. And we need to figure it out day by day, step by step. And our governments are figuring it out step by step. They are failing, they are succeeding, and we are doing the same thing right alongside them. But if you choose to take this situation badly, then it's going to reflect badly on you. I get it. If you're sick, if your friends are sick, yes, take that moment, grieve, be with them, whether or not you can be there in person or online, but then figure out how you are showing yourself and how you are going to show up the next day and the next day and the next. We want you to promote the positivity and the good outlook in your life. If you are holding on to the negative and you are only thinking about the negative, try and take that baby steps to take yourself out of that. Take yourself out of that negative. Get outside, meditate, go outside and breathe. Take 6 deep breaths outside, and I swear you'll feel that much better.
So Joe Rogan has this great monologue. It's that you are the hero of your own movie. And if you haven't listened to it, you need to listen to it, because the context is here is that you were not put on this world to be average. And every one of us is the hero of our own movie. We're not some background actor. We are here, and everybody loves a comeback story. So if right now you are suffering or you are not being your best, well, now's your time. Now's your time to create this whole transition of this story to show the comeback that you're going to have, because that's the story that you're destined for. That's the greatness that you're set up for. That is what you deserve. And so for you to sit here today and take it all in, fine, take your 2 minutes, take your 5 minutes, take your 2 days, but then get going. Get back into who you are and who you're made to be. Stop letting your mind tell you what you can't be, and start using words like I can, I will, and I am going to get this done. Turn it around. This doesn't have to be the worst time. This doesn't have to be a downtime. This doesn't have to be anything but the greatest time for you. You could be one of the many stories that are going to come out here and have said, hey, listen, we got put in this position. It wasn't ideal, but I found what I didn't like. We found what we didn't like. We found a solution to help others. And we were able to do this in one of the toughest circumstances that have come around for a lot of people in many years. Any age, any background, any ethnicity, anyone can make a change today, but it's going to start with you deciding that enough's enough. Let's go forward. Let's be the hero of our own movie.
What Jason just said right there, take that story, take your story and make it your own. Take control of that story. Take that story and say, how am I going to take this bad situation and turn it into something positive? What is your story going to sound like a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when you're talking to people about, oh, remember that time when we all went through COVID? What happened to you? What do you want your story to be? Do you want your story to be negative, or do you want your story to be this amazingly positive story that you can continue to tell to people from your babies to your children, to your grandchildren, to people that you meet? I mean, this is going to be a conversation starter forever. And people are going to want to know, how did you handle yourself?
Yeah. How did you handle yourself? Who were you? And you have to do it for yourself first, because ultimately that others are looking or listening. Well, they're looking to you for guidance. They're not looking to put you down. If they are, it's because they're dealing with their own thing here. So don't worry about the noise. Don't worry about other people are saying. You have to be your best self to move forward. So let's move on from there. Let's move back to the branding side of this.
Yes.
And branding ultimately is you putting your best foot forward. So if you are creating your own image of yourself, whether it's in real estate or you're in e-commerce or something, how are you coming across as yourself? And it needs to be a consistent message across your platforms. If you're looking for advertisers or you're looking for ways to generate revenue, and you are now not representing that across your LinkedIn profile, your Facebook profile, any of your profiles, and you're not coming across in that version of yourself, people are going to look at you and say, is this where I want to put my money? These resources that I've worked and bled over to get this money, is this where I'm going to want to put my money? So choices are not going to be as quick, right? Because people are going to have maybe a little more or a little less cash right now. So maybe they're going to be a little less picky. What we might see is the hope here is that a lot of goods might start being manufactured here, which would be awesome too. So now is the time you can create your message, create your story, create your platform, talk about how, we really took a hard look at where our products were made. And we said, let's bring this back. Let's bring this back to America, because just think about it, right? Are you going to have the ability to go fly overseas and look at these different manufacturers? Is the ability to now ship going to be as easy as it has been? So looking at yourself, your message, how you're coming across, it's going to be everything.
And to pinpoint one thing that Jason talked about, the way people are going to handle their money is going to change, even from now to 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a few years from now, it's going to change. But no matter what, if you present yourself in the correct light and you present yourself true, then if they're holding on to their money, chances are they're going to give it to you first. If they're being more free with their money and they're seizing opportunity wherever they can find it, then chances are they're going to give it to you first. So no matter what, if you present yourself in the most responsible light and you continue to do that, then people will flock to you.
And it's one of the greatest ways here where you can basically set up a digital catalog's not the word, right? But a digital yearbook or
Yes.
a family, right? To say that our kids can have the ability to not have to, find pictures of us, that they can see video or see pictures that are online that are not going to be available for generations. And just think about how that's going to change. So why not, even if you're not putting that out there to the landscape, why not capture what's happening with the growth of you, your family, the others around you? Because this is your comeback story. This is the story of how you became how you became the best version of you, how your family grew, how generations grew.
What kind of legacy are you going to leave? Because your legacy is online now. It's not like our grandparents, our parents, or even us. Like, I try and look for videos of me as a kid and there's like nothing. Or my parents as teenagers or young adults, and there's nothing. But just imagine, like, the things that you leave online now are the things that your children and grandchildren and people for decades, eons to come can look back and say, this was the history of the Yarusis in this time period. How did they handle it?
So we've made the decision that we want to continue on this path. I mean, COVID is not the best case. I'd rather not be going out, not being able to say hello to people, not be able to shake hands, not be able to wear masks. But it's been so exciting and invigorating to just be able to be more actively around our kids and just watch them.
It's too much coffee.
Too much coffee. Maybe that was the third cup of coffee. But to watch them just evolve and just the lessons they're learning. They learn so quick. They learn so much so easily. But you can learn from that too. I can learn from that too. And just taking the moments, because we forget how quickly things go. And, I feel like they've been home for a month and grown a foot. And to watch them evolve, it just goes for us, right? We always need to be in a point of learning. And right now, the ability to just slow down and watch how they are evolving is a lesson learned for each of us. We forget that we're growing too. And if we look back 10 years ago and were to think that we're the same person, well, it's not true. Your ideas have changed, your concepts have changed, your mentality about how things are operating has changed. Your whole perspective has changed. Maybe you've moved, maybe your family looks completely different. And to remember that you have to keep learning, you have to keep putting yourself in front of these tests, right? I think this running this month is a test. It's a lot of hours I'm doing that calendar club. And
I think you should explain the calendar club to anybody that doesn't understand or hasn't been following you.
So the calendar club is just that you run a mile for every number of the day of the month. So on day 1, I ran 1 mile. Day 5, I ran 5 miles. Day 6, I run 6 miles. Day 15, I run 15 miles. Today's the 22nd. So I'm running 22 miles. It's a lot of time. And Peely and I spoke is that I want to make sure that she was okay with this, because it's going to come up now for 8 days, 3 to 5 hours a day of running. And that's a lot of running, and that's
a lot of time away from the home when we're all at home.
And I wrote a story today on Medium is that things around us may fail, but you can't fail you. And right now I'm feeling good. My legs are still with me. My mind, the boredom, I knew would set in, but my shoes have given up. Literally, I've gotten 2 holes in my shoes, and we're in quarantine, so I can run out and get another pair of shoes. But I'm almost resistant to even do that. So my shoes, although they've said, okay, I failed, I'm not with you, although they've probably well past their shelf life. We're probably almost 1,500 miles on these shoes, something to that fact. Well, they're in with me. If we're going to be running and literally I'm going to be down to strings and soles by the end of it, I got to run barefoot. That's what it is. We're in this, and it's now I'm set to do this. I've already told myself I will and I can, and it's done. So my shoes are coming with me, and that's going to be you thinking about your journey, because you have a perfect plan, and things happen like your shoes rip apart. And if that's going to stop you, then it wasn't as truly important as maybe you first thought it was. And the fear is going to be there. The unknown is going to be there. A lot of those things are always going to be pushing you back to want to do stuff, right? So I want to lose weight, or I want to eat right, or I want to learn this so I can get this new job, or I want to try this. But the fear is always going to step in. And the more you can continue to just push forward through that fear, because it's always going to be there, that's where you're going to really build your character. I was talking, I wrote about Meryl Streep, right? Because she still gets stage fright. One of the most accomplished actresses ever still gets stage fright, because it means something to her, but there's still that thing. You never get over it. There's always that point of doubt and of uncertainty. And it's something that's now been put into us, right? And, think of it, right? Riding a bike. When you're a kid, like, imagine you weren't allowed to learn to ride a bike until you were like 40. We'd be so scared, and so many people just wouldn't do it. But a kid, you see your friends doing it, you say, oh, I'm going to get on this bike because those other kids are doing it. We're just going to do it, right? All of a sudden, you're jumping in ditches, doing all these things. You get a bunch of scrapes and bruises, and you get back on the bike. But if we put that to how we treat trying new things today, well, that's why so many of us don't do it. We don't want to have those bumps and those scrapes because it might hurt. It might not feel right. And it's the unknown. And it keeps us from taking action.
And I want to jump onto being supportive of those in your family who want to try different things, who want to take that leap into what may be the unknown. When Jason first told me about this running club, I was like, that's a lot of running, but if you want to do it, yes, do it, because I know that he needs and loves these challenges. I love challenges too. I'm not going to go run a kabillion miles, but how are you showing up for your loved ones is what I want to ask. So this is how I'm showing up for Jason. Jason asked. If I had said no, I'm sure he would have thought up another challenge for him to do closer to home. But I said yes, and I meant it. And I'm supporting in his reach for something a little bit more, a little bit extra. So how are you reaching for that little bit more or a little bit extra? And how are you supporting those in your life, whether they're right there next to you in quarantine with you, or supporting those in your life that are friends that you are with online, or your family members online? Like, for instance, my cousin, he just called me up out of the blue and he was like, Peely, I have access to masks. Do you know of anyone that need them? And I was just like, yes, I have, my sister-in-law needs them. I have friends in the city that need them. And he's like, done. And he's sending them this week. So that's one way of showing up. And he's not asking for anything. He's just like, I have access to these things. How can I help? So what do you have access to that you can help, even if it's just one person a day? See, that's my goal. I want to help one person a day to get to the next level. So if I help you, please let me know, because that is one of my goals. And for a lot of people, that might be a small goal, but imagine if you help one person and that person helps another person. Wouldn't the world just be a much better place? Do you hear our kids? They're laughing.
So coming to the end today is that let's reassess. Let's take a moment to just really love life, be happy with what's happening, and just think, are we being the hero of our story? Or are we playing the background character? Sometimes it's okay to be for a moment, but you need to show up and be your best version of yourself. So we want to hear from you. So Jason and Peely Project, go over, check out the podcast on Apple's Podcast, Spotify, Google Play. You can check us out on YouTube. We want to hear more about topics that you want to discuss. We'd love to start having you, some of you come on. We can have a little talk track going back and forth, and maybe some things that you have questions on or are really pinnacles in your life that we can help really have a conversation about.
Leave a question in the comments if you have any questions, or if you have anything that you want us to talk on and you want to hear our thoughts on it.
And if you want to hear our kids laugh, or you want them to come on and give a little talk track, they want to start a little podcast themselves, let us know. So that's what we got today. Second cup of coffee. Jason and Peely, thank you.
So grateful.
As always, thank you for everyone that's here checking us out. And if you liked it, share it. Share it with someone who maybe need this message today. Share it with someone else. Go over there, give us a ratings or review. Hit that subscribe button. Show us that we can bring more value. And we will. Have a great day.
Bye now.